Hi, everybody. I am Amy Anguish, and I write contemporary Christian romance and women's fiction every now and then. And Tony Shiloh was so nice to let me have this chance to share with you. I want to share just a little bit from my book, Writing Home. And this book is about Chris and Jordan. And Chris has gotten completely fed up with all of the social media and shallow relationships that she has, and she wants something deeper. So when she runs across some letters from her grandparents that they wrote to each other when her grandfather was in Korea, she gets the idea to try and have a pen pal. And so her friend Tina hooks her up with her cousin Jordan as a pen pal. And instead of actually reading you a scene from my book, I thought it would be fun if I just read the first two letters that Chris and Jordan exchanged. And because Tina is a little bit manipulative as a friend and has this whole idea of what she wants to happen between Chris and Jordan, um, she goes ahead and gives Chris's address in Alabama to her cousin Jordan, who lives in Louisiana. And so he is the first one to write a letter. So here we go. Here's his letter to Chris. Hi, Chris. I know a lot of people normally start letters out with a dear, but seeing as we have never actually met, I felt this greeting would be safer. When Tina first approached me about being a pen pal again, I really wasn't sure what to say. It seems ages ago since she and I exchanged letters in school. Back then, our biggest worries were whether a fellow classmate noticed us, or if our haircut was stylish enough, or if we had the coolest pair of shoes our moms could afford. I wondered how dreary a letter I would write now might be without all those exciting problems. But the more I thought about it, the more I really liked the idea. I don't have many close friends since my schedule stays fairly busy. I work as a nurse practitioner for a pediatric clinic in Shreveport and often have after hours duty on top of my normal clinic hours. It's tiring, but also satisfying to know I am doing everything I can to help keep kids safe and healthy. Tina says you work at a similar office there in Alabama. Maybe we'll have more to write each other about than I first thought. I suppose you'd like to know something else about me besides that I'm related to Tina, although she's 4.5 years younger, and that we're in similar work. I attend the same congregation I've worshipped with my whole life. In some ways, that is amazing because everyone knows me. In other ways, it's hard because they all still see me as I was when I was 9. I would love to have a dog, but feel it wouldn't be fair to the animal with my crazy hours. I live next door, well, more down the hill and across the driveway, to my parents, in a cabin that used to be my grandparents'. Together we have 10 acres, mostly woods, with a small fishing pond about the length of a football field from my front door and down a gravel path. I love to cook, but hate to clean up the mess afterwards. Whenever I get the chance, I love to go fishing. And when I watch football, I usually root for Oklahoma despite being a Louisiana resident, because that's where my dad went to school. I can't think of much else to say in this first missive, but if you choose to accept the pen palship that my cousin has suggested, I'm willing to give it a try, obviously. If you think I sound completely insane and you want nothing to do with this, feel no obligation to write. Just let Tina know, and she can let me down easy. Hoping to hear back, Jordan White. So that's the first letter, and then here is Chris's first response back to Jordan. Hi, Jordan. I think you're totally right. It is a bit strange to greet someone as a dear when you've never met in person. Although if you're related to my best friend, then surely you will someday be as dear to me as she is, right? I was just like you and doubted Tina's suggestion at first. I know it was my idea to begin with, but it was more of a whim than anything. I for sure never expected to give her to give you my address before she let me know you were willing to try this. Needless to say, I was surprised, in a good way, to get your letter the other day. Thanks for agreeing to be sort of a guinea pig. I do work at a pediatric clinic too, but my job isn't anywhere as important as yours. I'm just a receptionist. It keeps me hopping during the day, but I don't have to be on call a lot, like the doctors and nurses. The office has been busy here in Alabama. I love the fall, but hate the sniffles and coughs it brings. I'd much rather have sports injuries than runny noses coming in, not as much risk of getting sick myself. This wasn't necessarily what I pictured myself doing when I grew up, but it was a job that was available when I graduated, and most days I enjoy it. I guess Tina told you that she and I grew up down the street from each other. We were best buddies from the moment we met in Bible class, and still stay close despite me living in Alabama now. I too stay active in the congregation here, although probably not as much as I could. I've lived here several years now, but don't feel I've put down many roots. It's just where I went to school, so it's where I stayed afterwards. Well, okay, there's more to the story than that. I came to school here because my dad and his best friend did, and every time they talked about it, it convinced me Huntsville was exactly where I needed to be. Then, when my two big brothers mocked me, saying I wouldn't last more than a month before moving back to Nashville, I determined to stay for good just to show them. Not the best reason, but I refuse to let them be right more often than I have to. You mentioned having a brother, so I'm sure you understand. I'm not really a fan of football, so I don't know who I'd root for. My dad and brothers all root for Arkansas because that's where his family is from originally. Instead of my brothers being younger like yours, though, I'm the baby of the family. We can still commiserate on the trouble of having brothers if you want. We're opposites in the kitchen, too, it sounds like. I don't mind cleaning up, but I dread cooking. If it's not something super easy and quick to make, it's not in my apartment. My crock pot gets a lot of use for sure, although I don't mind baking, especially bread. Bread making is a family tradition, and I love the way it makes the house smell. Nothing better in the world. I don't know what else to say now. I guess I lead a pretty boring life. Work, church, home. I'm not much of a pet person, although I don't mind animals. And I've never actually been fishing. Maybe Tennessee girls don't fish as much as Louisiana girls do. I do like to eat fish, though. Thanks again for agreeing to this, at least on a trial basis. I think it could be fun getting to know someone else, and as I pointed out to Tina when I brought the idea up in the first place, I think it's going to be nice getting to know someone on a deeper level than what social media seems to allow anymore. My coworker today was taking a selfie post on her site and only took a picture of half her face. When I mentioned it, she simply said she didn't like the other half. Maybe I'm too old to understand, even though there can't be more than 3 or 4 years difference between my age and hers. But do you think it's because of the vanity and self-centeredness of social media that people don't like half their face? Or did I just not notice it before because it's more prevalent now? I'm not sure. Now I've probably scared you off for good, but if not, I look forward to your next letter. Chris Jones. So that is the first 2 letters that Chris and Jordan write to each other in writing home. And as you can see, there's a lot more. Almost all of my chapters start with a letter, and then it sort of like chronicles the reactions and explains more about what's going on and how they grow closer to each other. And I hope that you're interested in checking it out. And thanks again to Tony for letting me have this chance. Bye.